Hey everyone, Austin Lee here, back at FraudFi. Welcome to another video. And today I'm going to switch it up a little bit. I wanted to have something to be more personal. I have gotten a few questions from a few different individuals asking about how to start a case. How do you start a case in fraud investigation? There is a lot of data out there. There's a lot of information, a lot of data, and it's hard to determine what to start looking at and what to look for. So when you're looking at a case, it's important to brief yourself, most likely on the alert that you're given or the report that you're given. Super important. Also the customer call, asking a lot of questions, just trying to get all the information there. So when you get all the information and you have it in one spot, you look at that info and you digest it, because this will be information that you'll need later to dig into the case a bit more. Next, it's important to focus on two different pieces. One, history of the account. What have been the trends? Is this an anomaly for this fraud, or is this pretty normal for the person? Are they going to Atlantic City every weekend and they're spending the exact same amount and they're just calling in to say, hey, I didn't spend this money, even though they might have went to the club or went to the casino and spent way too much money or more than they anticipated because they might have been drinking a little bit too much. So now when you understand the history, kind of the profile of the customer, you get to really see yourself in the customer's shoes. Now this is important because what you're also going to look at is interconnectedness. So the history gets to let you know about the person, so you're able to sympathize and empathize with that individual. And then the interconnectedness, what's around that person. Now, it's really important for interconnectedness to look at a few spots of vulnerability and compromise for a fraud case. What do I mean by that? So for fraudster, is taking ownership of this person's account, of this person's credit card, of this person's information. There's got to be an attack vector. There also has to be a monetization and control vector. And so, for example, I'll make this really easy. A credit card has to be sent somewhere. A person has to log in somewhere on that account. So if we focus on key points, and what I'm talking about is physical and digital. So physical and digital points. Those are essential in understanding the customer, interconnectedness to others, and most likely an indication of fraud. So in this, I focus on two different points. One, address. Address is always important because this is going to be where the card is physically sent. It's got to be sent somewhere. And you can also look on Google Maps pretty easily and tell if something looks suspicious or if there's been any changes on the account recently. Who lives at that place is registered to that place, and who lives at that individual place from a standpoint of the accounts in your bank or just the credit bureau information. Second piece, this one's a little bit harder, but this is digital information. Now, people think IP address is a great indicator of determining how to stop fraud. IP address is probably one of the worst indicators, because what you're going to most likely catch is either going to be high velocity fraud, where it's just this person's blatantly trying to defraud the company, or somebody that has privacy concerns and they're trying to protect themselves, which is okay. So what you're going to be looking at is two different things. One is device ID. Very, very difficult to change the device ID unless you have malicious intent. So what does malicious intent look like? It looks like changing the device ID number or setting up a new machine, virtual machine. And so the other thing that you can do, but is not as good as device ID, because I think that is one of the best indicators, is IMEI or cookies. So those cookies, when you go to each and every website asking for you to look and verify that you are accepting the cookies or declining the cookies, that is an okay indicator, but most likely somebody that's sophisticated with fraud isn't going to be either accepting the cookies or they're going to be able to change their browser. Because what happens is if I go from Google Chrome to Mozilla or add an extension, my cookie number actually changes. So what I want to talk to you about today, and again, just to recap, when we're looking at a fraud investigation case, it's important to digest the customer profile and the brief. Second, we're going to look at the history of the individual, understanding their patterns and trends so we can put ourselves in the customer's shoes. The third piece, when we're looking for suspected fraud, we're looking at those different control, monetization, and attack vectors, specifically with physical, address, and digital, which would be your device ID. So again, I hope this helps you or anyone who's looking to go into a fraud investigation role. Happy to dive into any of those pieces because I think this is helpful information, especially when you're a new fraud investigator and you don't know what to look for.